Hello, 7th graders, and welcome to our last lesson in Unit 10. This is the only one that you're going to need to be watching for this week because then you're going to spend the rest of the week reviewing and getting yourself ready to take the test. So we are going to be talking about mean absolute deviation, or sometimes they call it MAD. Again, with this unit, we're going through things that you should have learned previously in your education, but we are also going to be talking about things that are a little bit more challenging given some of those measurements. So this is definitely another one where it's going to be a little bit more challenging. So feel free to continue to watch this video or watch it multiple times so that you understand it. As always, with your big ideas, there's ways that you can check your homework, as well as you can reach out to me if you're still confused after this. So we're going to go ahead with our I-CANs and we'll keep going into the lesson. So your objectives are, I can understand the meaning of mean absolute deviation, and I can find the mean absolute deviation of data. I was doodling on here. I got my little writing pad, so just making sure that that works as we go through. All right, skipping our warm-up for right now. So our essential question, how can you use the distances between each data value and the mean of a data set to measure the spread of data set? So basically this is what we're going to be doing when we're doing our MAD. Okay, is that what happens is that we are measuring the distance from each value to the mean. So how far away is the data from the actual mean that we get? And then how can we use this to interpret the rest of the sets of data that we have? All right, so here is going to be the most probably important part of this whole entire thing is being, I should have used my pad for this, is being able to understand how to find your MAD. And there's very clear steps on how we do this. So we're going to go through step by step. And if at any point you need to, you can always go back and look at these steps on your notes, write them down for your test, okay, as we go through. Step number 1 is just to find the mean of your data, which is a lesson that we did earlier in this unit. I believe it was 9.2. Step number 2 then is you're going to find the distance between each data value and the mean. So for instance, maybe you have a data set that goes like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Okay, so in the case that you had like a data set like this and you find your mean, remember you add them all up and you divide by the amount there is. So if I added all of these up, this would be 3, 6, 10. Or sorry, yeah, 6, 10. So 10 divided by 4 then, okay, maybe let's add another 5. I'm going to add a 5 here. So this would be 15. 15 divided by 5 would give me 3. So this one's going to be my mean. So basically what they're asking then is find the distance between each data value. So you're going to be like, okay, from 1 to 3, that's a distance of 2. From 2 to 3, that's a distance of 1. From 3 to 3, it's a distance of 0. From 4 to 3, it's a distance of 1. From 5 to 3, it's a distance of 2. Then what you do in step 3 is you find the sum of the distances in step 2. So then when you find your sum, remember that means addition. So I'm going to add all of these up that I just wrote above it. So 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 0 is still 3, plus another one is 4, and plus 2 would be 6. Okay? Once you have that, you divide the sum in step 3 by the total number of data values. So again, I had a total number of 5, so I'm going to take 6 and divide it by 5, which will then give me my MAD. And this is where you're going to need to use a calculator to figure out some of those because it's not quite as easy. But 6 divided by 5, okay, looks to be that I get 1.2. Okay, so that's how you find your MAD. I know it's a lot easier than said than done, but just make sure that you are following along with each step as it goes through, okay? We'll walk through it slowly for each step as well. All right, so here is our first example. It says you record the number of raisins in 8 scoops of cereal. Find and interpret the mean absolute deviation of the data. So maybe you want to do an experiment and see how many scoops of, how many raisins do you get every time you do 8 scoops of cereal. Maybe you're like eating something like Raisin Bran. Okay, so I still got my bowl for breakfast here. And so you're scooping it in, you do 8 scoops, okay, then you count every single one that's in there, and then you dump it out again, and then you do it again. You do 8 scoops, okay. Here's the data you get. You get 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, and 5. So when I'm going to go back and look at my steps, my first step is to find the mean of the data. Remember, when we find the mean, it means we're going to add all of this up and divide by how many there are. So in total, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 data values, okay? So we add these all up. You divide it by 8. So it looks to be when you add up all the data values, you get 24. You divide it by 8. So then your mean is 3. Just like what I did before. Apparently we got the same mean, 3. Okay. Step number 2 is find the distance between each data value and the mean. They say you can do a dot plot. I'm not a big fan of doing that, but if that's going to help you visualize it a little bit better, you can do that. I'm going to show you with my pen here how I would kind of think of that. So here's basically what I did like last time. Maybe let's grab a different color here. I'm going to see if I can grab a different color. Let's do like the pink. So if I'm thinking about 1 and from the distance from 1 to 3, that means I'd count 2 more, okay? From 2 to 3, that's 1, 1, 1. From 3 to 4, that's 1. So what you're doing is distance is also never negative. I believe I have talked to you about this before, but I'm not worried about if it's going smaller or if it's going bigger, okay? We're just worried about how far away on a number line this is from your mean. So 4 is also a 1, 1, and then 5. To get from 3 to 5, it's a jump of 2. So then here are my numbers on the distance, okay? That's all I need to do for step 2. Step 3 then says find the sum of the distances in step 2. So then when I go ahead, I will add all these together. Okay. So when we add them all together, and look, they have the same numbers that I got here, okay? So the 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and the 2. So when you add those all up together, you get an answer of 10, okay? And then your last step is to divide the sum in step 3 by the total number of data values. So again, there was still 8 values. We're still going to divide it by 8. So we're taking 10 divided by 8 this time. 10 divided by 8 then is this 1.25, okay? Now, we didn't talk a ton about how we use this to describe our data, but one way you could describe this is that this is kind of how you can explain the variety of answers you get, okay? So for the most part then, or the average difference from the mean is this 1.25, okay? So on average, my range of answers can be 3 plus this number or 3 minus this number. So this is a lot like when we were talking about those quartiles and figuring out if it's a good range or where that, if it would be an outlier. Same thing kind of applies here. This is going to show me that range of values that we are going to be getting. So it's going to be in between kind of those, or where most of the data set lies, okay? Because I know if you take this and add, 1.25, that's 4.25. That doesn't account for this 5 here. But again, we're looking for basically where's that big cluster of data. So it's going to be in between those values. Okay. Let's keep it going. All right, we're already at an on your own, so go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try and solve this one here on your own. Again, go back and look at those steps, Okay, follow each step out, and that's how I'm going to write mine as well. Okay, step 1, find your mean. Step 2, find the distance between each point and the mean. Step 3, add up all of those distances. And step 4, divide by how many numbers there are. All right, so again, go ahead, pause the video. When you come back, I will have the answers for you. Alrighty, and welcome back. So what I did is I went step by step here in the steps that I need to solve for my MAD. So first step is just find the mean. So what I did is I added all these together. That's where I get my 96 from. And divide by 8 because there's a total of 8 numbers here. So I get a mean of 12. From there, I'm finding the distance between each point and 12. So I just went through the line and looked at it. Okay, from 5 to 12, okay, 5 plus what would give me 12? Well, that's 7. 8 plus what gives me 12? 4. 4, okay, keep going. And then you can kind of reverse the roles when you get higher. Okay, 13 minus 12 would be 1. 14 minus 12 is 2. So finding my distance between all the points. Step number 3 is to take everything from part 2 and add it together. So I added the 7, 4, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 10. I get 34. And my last step then is to take that 34 and divide it again by the original amount of numbers. We haven't changed the numbers. Numbers are still 8. So I'm taking this 34, dividing it by 8, and I get an answer of 4.25. Okay. So again, this is showing me the variety of my answers. So for the most part, my answers or my data values are going to be either 4.25 more than 12 or 4.25 less than 12. So that's where I would say that if you were setting up your number line, okay, that's probably where your peak is going to be. So a lot of times they kind of show data when you get a little older here, kind of like this with this peak here. So that's going to be kind of where your peak of your data is. All right. So I'm actually going to end this video here. Please make sure to watch out for part 2. Make sure you're still watching for your code word at any point. I may have said it, I may have not said it. You should be paying attention and listening. Okay. So catch me in part 2 and we will finish off the rest of this lesson. See you then.